from Provo, Utah, this is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweiss. This is Ultima Final Fantasy.
Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. I am Joe.
And I am Caleb.
And today we're going to be talking about Last Order.
Yes, the Final Fantasy VII...
little spin-off movie
Yeah,
thing.
it's like 25 minutes of what happened in Nibelheim, basically.
Right.
So.
But it's not canon.
No.
They always make sure to mention that online.
Yeah, and we'll talk about
this
why.
This is not canon. But first, we do have some new iTunes reviews. I complained last time that we didn't have any iTunes reviews, and some people were kind enough to leave some reviews for us on iTunes. Thank you very much, you two who left reviews. And, of course, we encourage all others to leave iTunes reviews if you haven't already, as we do read them at the opening of the show.
It's true.
Ready for this, Caleb?
I am.
Okay, so the first review comes from Brett Olbers. I'm really sorry. Titled The Right Balance. It's a 5-star review. It says, I've been a fan of this podcast ever since I stumbled across it a few months ago. I like that they have found subject matter to talk about regarding the series in addition to the main game reviews. There isn't a ton of focus on rumors and news like other FF podcasts. I feel like we talk about news a lot.
We talk about news, but I think he's mostly concentrating on the rumors part, which...
Oh, okay.
With our basically shaming Kotaku at every moment possible, I could see where he's coming from.
It's because they put out a lot of misinformation.
Yeah, and then it's like...
Their titles are always misleading.
That's
seems
true, too.
Wrong to me. I tend to listen to these during long car trips or when I'm on long runs. I didn't really play much Final Fantasy before the PS1 era, so hearing the reviews for the earlier games have inspired me to go back and play a few. I'm glad. I'm working on Final Fantasy IV right now, and I have to say I'm enjoying it because I know what to look out for and expect because of the great review they gave. I'm curious to see how they handle the reviews of some of my favorite FF games, favorite games, FF7 and onward, and also how the podcast will transition once we've moved on from the main series. Have you guys ever thought about expanding the podcast to include other JRPGs in the vein of Final Fantasy? Other Square titles, Suikoden? Wow, that's really hard for me. How do you pronounce that?
Suikoden, I'd say.
Suikoden? Okay. I don't think I've ever heard of that one. Persona, etc. Persona is a really good Ingmar Bergman film, actually. Keep up the great work.
Well, thank you, Brett Albers.
Yes, thank you very much for your 5-star review. We are going to answer that exact question as we got the same question on our forum.
We did. Is it you?
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah,
I think that was that asked by Batman? Or was it or Branny? Or
I can't remember.
It's one of our forum members. We'll get to it. And
So the second review is titled, Final Fantasy Fans Are Awesome. Well, thank you. And it's from Magician4587. First off, I live on podcasts.
So do I.
Especially ones based on video games and the series I love. Not going to lie, I listen to another FF podcast.
What? There's another one?
I guess. And only happened on this one a few months ago, and I was like, hey, more FF podcasts is always a good thing. So now I get to listen to more people talk about FF games. Pros. Fun friend interaction. You can tell the hosts are friends and share the same passion and love for FF games that most of us fans do.
As they do with each other.
True.
Look into my eyes, Caleb.
I have to read this.
Don't talk.
I would seriously enjoy just chilling with these guys on a Saturday night and eat pizza while we play or talk about games. Humor. These guys have found the correct balance of funny moments and jokes to put into their podcast, and even the transition between segments have personalized music or singing in them.
Hey, what do you call a fish with no eyes?
I don't know.
A fish. Sorry, that's my favorite joke. Let's keep going.
I was so dumb that I lost my spot. Oh yeah, the music is thanks to Joe. He's the musical one here. I'm just retarded. far as that goes.
That's true, yes.
Playing through the games. This is very good, and not lots of podcasts do stuff like this. I'm glad you brought this up, because it turns out that's pretty accurate. A lot of the other ones just talk about 14 and...
other Final Fantasy podcasts?
There's a few that do it. I know Damn Chocobo reviews the games, but then they talk about random stuff, too.
Right. Damn Chocobo is mostly you hanging out with those two people for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And they will occasionally talk about the game that they're on.
Right. So he says discussions on various topical FF things each week is very nice, especially to hear some of the lesser-known FF things that are older, and most people only talk about newer games and other podcasts.
That's true, and that's kind of why we do the game, this podcast like that.
Yeah, it's because we don't want to be just another podcast.
We don't want to be another FF, other Final Fantasy podcast.
Right.
A much bigger Final Fantasy podcast, that's for sure.
Cons, needs a female host. I'm sure these guys know of a female FF fan, since about 45% of the FF fan base is female, so I'd really like to see an addition of a permanent female FF fan to the podcast. Now, we don't.
Okay,
And-
no, we'll answer this. Keep going. We'll
Okay,
just
okay.
Finish the review. We'll talk about this.
Broadcasts. Broadcasts are okay, but showing the fan diversity of the FF community and having a female perspective on things and a girl on the show is always nice. I listen to the FF podcast with my girlfriend in the car, and sometimes she prefers the other one. Oh,
Dun,
God.
dun, dun.
Simply because it has a girl who she can identify with as a fellow FF fangirl. Okay, knowledge of FF. For the average FF fan, the hosts are really good at remembering lots of things, but maybe I'm too hardcore of a fan, but I find little errors in every episode about a certain character, game, or little nitpicks on facts about the games.
Which we do have apologies from last time.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
get to that. Not to brag, but I'm that guy that really doesn't consider my knowledge of FF complete until I understand even the metagame mechanics and crazy stuff. So yeah, it's mostly a personal thing that has to do with me and not you guys. Also, I gave the review 5 out of 5 stars so you wouldn't hate me. Smiley face. Overall, great podcast, and I love anything FF related, so keep up the good work, and please get a female host if possible.
Well, thank you for the 5-star review.
Right. Now it's time to hate on you anyway.
No. He brought up some good points. We do make mistakes on our on some of our FF facts. I'd say part of that is because we have to recall memory, and the other part is that we're exploring the games as we go along. We don't have a huge knowledge of Final Fantasy before we start. I mean, besides the fact that we've played quite a bit.
Right. But I mean, we
And,
played them years ago, a lot of cases.
a lot of cases. So we're not exactly hardcore. Certainly.
Yeah.
Neither of us are, but we're trying to, bring up a good show about Final Fantasy. That's what our goal is. And that's why we're playing through the old games, because, the other big FF podcast is all about the new stuff.
Right.
And we figured the thing that will set us apart is that we're playing through the old stuff.
Right.
And we're looking at Final Fantasy as a whole, not only looking towards its future. Though that is, of course, part of our show.
Well, yeah, it has
It's
to
the
be.
beginning part of our show for most of these episodes. Now, the other thing that he brought up is please get a female host.
Right.
Now, let's talk about getting a third person on the show, Caleb. How difficult is it to have Caleb on this show, physically, because of our setup?
Well, he is a large man.
That's
I don't
not
think
the
that's what
reason
you're
why.
talking about.
No.
But okay, so we
have 2 mics.
have 2 mics, yes.
And
Joe's
we have-
mic is superior, as you can tell.
We have a mixer with only 2 mic ports.
Right.
Right. And there are other podcasts that will do something like over Skype. But we don't want to do that because that ruins the quality.
Right. Unless we had.
You can tell when someone's doing an episode over Skype.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we're talking about quality now, and if you listen to our first 5 episodes, it's certainly worse than those podcasts that do it over Skype. But
Yeah,
we have tried really hard to get our quality up to basically where we want it.
Right.
I mean, certainly if you, Caleb, had a better mic,
Right, but the issue
would
with
be
getting
nice.
a better mic is we need a better mixer, and
we
they
need
get
a new
expensive.
mixer, and mixers are expensive. So that's something, getting a third person on the show is kind of a pain because they kind of have to sit here and then we have to switch off mics
yeah,
a lot.
Unless they sat on our lap. It'd be
Right.
weird.
Otherwise,
Caleb
we'd
host.
probably have Caleb Craig on more.
We would.
Be honest. He's like in this room half the time because he's going to work at 2:00 and we start recording at noon.
I mean, he's standing right behind us. Just
he is standing right behind us
teetering,
right now. And
teetering
he's like,
from leg to
they're
leg.
talking about me. But, you know, it's kind of a pain to get a third person on. Now, that's one reason why we don't have a third host.
Right.
The reason why we don't have a female host, the real reason, I don't know any female people who do podcasts or talk, you know, are willing to do a podcast. And I don't know any women, personally, I just don't know any women who are into Final Fantasy.
Neither do I. And you bring up a good point saying that 45% of the fan base
They're
is
just
female.
not here.
They're all
here.
14 fans. Well, I think a lot of them are 14 fans.
That's true. We went to the fan festival and there was a lot of women, a lot of really cute not Japanese girls, but a lot of cute Asian girls, I'd say.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so,
just random.
Yeah, Joe's got a thing for that. But yeah, it's not that we're necessarily against it. It's just that we don't have the means. I mean, I don't know any females that play Final Fantasy either. I know a couple girls
I do know
that
some
play,
Kingdom Hearts players.
I do too, but we're not going to talk about Kingdom Hearts for a while.
Yeah, we're going to review the games when they come up, and sometimes we have big news on Kingdom Hearts.
We do, and we'll talk about the big stuff, but having them on wouldn't really help the show. Not currently.
Yeah, and okay, excuse me. I did know one. Before I broke up with my fiance 3 years ago, I had a lot of female friends. Now I'm down to like 3.
Okay.
At the time, I think I knew one girl who had played through Final Fantasy X.
Oh.
That was it.
Can you find her?
No, I'm not going to go look for her.
Right, so, yeah, it's, if we found a girl who would do it with us, the podcast, of course, we would have her on here. But,
God, you're so horrible.
Well, I have to clarify. But, yeah, and the thing is with the other show that has a female on there, I don't think she adds anything to the show. Maybe the female perspective I could see.
The British guy is really the only guy that's in that podcast.
Yeah, she just says...
Okay, when they have an interview, Caleb, I'm going to ask you a question. What'd you do today?
I woke up.
Right.
Took a shower.
Uh-huh.
Dried off.
Oh, yeah.
Got dressed.
Oh, cool.
Sat around.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, see, that's
what she does.
essentially. I mean, we don't need to necessarily bash. It's just, how does that bring a female perspective to the show? It's just... And then in other episodes, I hear...
She's not horrible. That's just during interviews. But, you know, of course, I stutter all the time, so that's a bad part of our show. Certainly, a female perspective would be nice. We just don't have the means for it.
Right, and I think we
all.
do touch on some factors that most guys wouldn't notice, like how I've always complained about the freaking female protagonists in most of these earlier ones. They're crappy. They're so
Right,
generic. It's
but
like...
a female perspective would certainly add to that. I agree with that. but
Right. We just don't have the means.
Don't have the means. Look, if you're a female in the Provo-Orem area, give us an email on our contact page and send us a sound clip.
Yeah,
And we'll look at it, and then we'll probably decide no, but you never know if you're awesome enough.
Yeah, we're not against it. It's just quality and all of that. The Skype sounds horrible to me.
Skype does sound horrible. I know 2 dudes and a Nest do the Skype thing, and their show would be much better if they were on like real mics.
Yeah, they
got a good show.
They do, and they have a huge gap between the two main guys. So
I listen to podcasts too. I wouldn't have started a podcast if I didn't listen to a crap ton of podcasts.
See, and the thing is I don't. So
yeah, you don't listen to podcasts.
Like I don't know.
With my job, I got like 20 podcasts I'm subscribed to, and I just go through the list and just listen to each new episode as they come along.
Nice,
including our own.
I would too, but
yeah, you got your reasons. I know what they are. But yeah, thank you for the reviews, guys. Let's move on to the news, shall we, Caleb?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so first up in news, Final Fantasy Agito Plus for PlayStation Vita has been delayed, and the article says indefinitely, but that sounds extreme.
Yeah,
so
this is on Crunchyroll.com.
All right, so they say that the latest spin-off, Agito Plus, was previously slated for a January 15th release, but now it looks like the diehards of Final Fantasy, I guess the 10 people that thought that eventually this would come to the States, will be disappointed. And the article brings up a decent point. Maybe they're...
It's the PS Vita version of this game.
Right. I think they're going to be coming out with it on...
They already have it on mobile.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, it's a PS Vita version.
Yeah, so... I don't know if anyone really cares, but... one of the good points the article brings up is maybe they're kind of relocating the people that were part of that team to 15, but who knows?
I think the article stated that it was technical issues that they might have been having trouble with bringing it to the PS Vita.
Right.
So it's been delayed, and who knows if it's going to come back.
Yeah.
It might just be forever mobile.
Yeah.
Who knows? All right, so our second piece of news is that the Final Fantasy Explorers director said that the character transformations, the transformation where you can turn into like a previous Final Fantasy character, that's not going to be like a main part of the game. It's just going to be optional. And there's a whole article written about this for some reason. They had to take up like 2 pages to say that.
I think there should have just been the header and then nothing else.
So yeah, there's that piece of news, and then we also got the Final Fantasy VII G-Bike.
Right. It is out in Japan.
Yep.
And the only image I've seen of it thus far is Cloud on the freeway with 2 very large behemoths running alongside.
And there's no release date for anywhere else besides Japan right now.
Yeah, so who knows? I'm sure it'll probably eventually come out. What they'll do is they'll wait for a fan to try to translate the game, then they'll shut that down, and then they'll bring it to the States.
Exactly. They should.
They'll have them pretty much finish the thing, and then they'll be like,
No, they won't just bring it to the States. They'll make an HD version and they'll put it on the PS4.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, so we got some Final Fantasy 14 news for you 314 players who listen to this podcast. Hopefully there's more. Hopefully some people looked us up with the cards that we had to hand out.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Dark Knight, which of course was announced as a new job in Final Fantasy 14.
Right.
It's going to be a tank, I guess, the Dark Knight job has never been a tank previously in the series. So that's really odd, but that's the big piece of news.
Yeah, I think before, when I was talking to some of the fans at the Fan Fest, they were saying that it was like a super damage output class. It was just super weak, so it's like the exact opposite now. All right, and some more 14 news. So the Final Fantasy 14 Dreams of Ice patch 2.4 is now out. And this is the one that they reviewed or showed a few clips from.
Yeah, when we were at the Final Fantasy 14 convention, they had video and just kind of playing throughout the whole show.
Right.
Except when there were panels, and they kept showing this like trailer of certain aspects.
Yeah,
of
and
this
they
new
were
patch.
fighting. They were fighting Shiva.
Yeah, they were fighting Shiva. Yeah.
So a few new things they have: a new rogue class and a ninja job. This is cool.
And they have a Shiva hard/extreme primal battle.
And Snowcloak, which is apparently a new dungeon.
Sastasha.
Hard mode of an existing dungeon. Sastasha.
The Sunken Temple of Karn.
Which, it's a hard mode of that dungeon, and a lot of people had a lot of positive things to say about that. I heard that come up a lot at the 14 convention. So
there are new housing wards, new main scenario, new Hildebrand side story, the final coil of Bahamut,
Awesome.
new Allagan tombstones, addition of new player versus player ranks, and item level increases.
that's good, since the level cap was raised, so the item levels have to be raised. then,
Level
too.
cap hasn't been raised yet.
Oh,
it was
it's the
announced
next
that it was
patch,
going
huh?
to be raised. It wasn't. It's not the patch. It's the expansion.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
3.0.
Sort of a patch.
The last piece of news, of course, is that yesterday, Halloween. I guess it wasn't yesterday.
2
was
days
it?
ago now.
Gosh, my sleep schedule is fucked, guys.
Yeah, so is mine.
So it feels like it was yesterday. Final Fantasy 15's. There was a video put out where the developers were going through just showing the massive world of Final Fantasy 15. So if you guys want to check that out, you can look at it on IGN.com under Final Fantasy 15's open world is gorgeous and massive.
And it is both. Mostly the massive. Not that it doesn't look good, it's just
It
huge.
looks very good.
I know, but I'd say it looks very huge also.
Yeah.
Like, they walked around for a while, and they didn't really walk that far. When it panned out, and you saw the little arch that they drove up to.
Mm-hmm. A little arch, just a tiny little arch.
Well, it's huge, but the thing is they could still see it after walking all of that way. So it's big.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 15 is going to be massive, just huge.
Shit love.
Both the land and the creatures in it, as we saw.
Yeah, there's a little stampede.
They always go into the rhino herds, and they're all kind of like chasing after them in the video. Yeah, it looks gorgeous, doesn't it?
It does.
It looks
really
great.
excited.
So we got to see more of the nature side of Final Fantasy 15, and unfortunately, it is kind of reminding me of Final Fantasy 12. Just the size and scope of it all,
Right. But as
which
I've said,
scares me.
Yeah, as I've said before, I hope they implement certain things that Elder Scrolls V Skyrim did. Because in 12 and in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, everything that's in the world map attacks you.
That's not true. That's not completely true in Final Fantasy 12.
There's a few bosses that won't. There's a few like neutral monsters, but almost everything will come
Almost,
after
yeah.
you. And in this one, I hope there's like peaceful creatures that you can then kill if you feel like getting experience, but you don't have to fight. Because it's really annoying in games when everything kills you. Or everything's like, oh, enemy. Like, that's what they're programmed to do. So I'm hoping that not all of those things that we were seeing are going to be coming for you, because that would be insane.
It didn't look like it was on their little demo thing, but of course it's a little demo thing. So.
Yeah, and the giant monster, it could be kind of like in 13, where the big thing's on Grand
There was a
Pulse.
giant like Brachiosaurus with a pig snout.
Yeah,
It was interesting.
I hope it makes a sweet little squeal and it just echoes throughout the land. Word, word, word.
Oh god.
But yeah, it could be kind of like in 13 with the big monsters, where you have to attack them first, or the T-Rex in 12 that I totally attacked the first time.
Oh, that I
Not-
did it, dude. I did it too.
Not good.
That was a mistake.
Sick. So yeah, we'll have to see about
So yeah,
that.
there's those. One more little piece of Final Fantasy 15 news that has to do with this. Apparently, a fan was concerned that 40 hours was too short for Final Fantasy game.
Okay.
Which, as we've just played the first 6 games, 40 hours is much longer than just the main story of the game.
Yeah, it is.
So when he said that 40 hours, the 40 hours estimation, according to Hajime Tabata, what a God, his name is just so what a wonderful name.
That's
really,
true.
According to him, the 40 hours remark, that was just the main story.
Okay.
So that was skipping other dungeons and doing extra stuff, which most players do at least a little bit of.
Right. We will be doing
So
it.
the game will be longer than 40 hours,
Right.
which, holy crap.
Yeah, they're big. And I know my file on 13, and I only got to Grand Pulse.
10, 12, and 13 were just,
They're big.
they're massive.
They take a long time to play through.
Mhm.
I mean, sure, it might be hallway syndrome for 10 and 13, but it's a lot of hallway. Good,
And
but
there's 10 hours of cutscene in Final Fantasy 10.
that's a lot. Dude, there's way more in 13. than
I think there's like 15 hours in 13. No. Wait, no, it is more than that. I
That's
can't
a
remember
lot.
the amount though.
They went like full Metal Gear Solid mode on, on 13.
1/3
like-
of the game shall be cutscene.
It's like a movie. Dude, no, the end of Metal Gear Solid 4 is like an hour and 20 minutes.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, I haven't actually played the 4th Metal Gear Solid very
Played a
much.
little bit of it.
I tried to play it right after I played 3. Like I tried to pick it up on my brother-in-law's PlayStation at the time, and the controls are different, so I was freaked out, so I stopped playing.
I see. Well, anyway, yeah, looks awesome,
Yeah.
and 40 hours is decent for a main story. That's a good chunk of time.
So that's it for news, as far as we can tell. Now, as far as podcast news, let's talk about a couple things before we get to Last Order, which we just watched this morning for the first time, both
Right.
of us. What are some of the corrections we need to go over from last week's episode about religion and Final Fantasy?
Well, I did mess up. I was talking about how Galileo got basically put on house arrest for saying the world was round, and I was like, that isn't right. What it was is he was claiming that the universe was, or our solar system was heliocentric, which is obviously means the sun is the center of it. And since mankind and the church at that time that it was very
They
man-centered.
thought the world was...
Yeah, they thought we were the center of the solar system, that everything revolved around Earth, which is a similar theme in mankind, where we think we're like top dog and everything's evolves around us. And he said no to that, and that was a huge thing at the time, and that's why he was put away.
Yeah,
that's the only
not
thing
because the world was...
Yeah, I was like,
you know, I accepted it because I was like, oh, I guess Caleb looked this up beforehand, so I guess he
it
knows.
was something, but so he was put away.
He was put away, yes.
What else? Was there anything else?
Theater Rhythm, Final Fantasy. You were saying you wanted multiplayer.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there is multiplayer.
The
in Final
multiplayer
Fantasy
that I
Theater Rhythm
mentioned
Curtain Call.
is the exact multiplayer they have, except for you don't see the opponent's parties; they appear as monsters that you're fighting.
Okay.
But that's awesome. Okay, that makes that game way more exciting for me.
All right.
Don't you think so?
I guess.
I think it looks like a good game. Like at first when I saw Theater Rhythm for the very first time, I was like, "Oh my god, it's like Guitar Hero without the guitar. That's horrible."
Mm-hmm.
And then saw the music, heard the music, saw the difficulty of it, the monster fights. That makes it pretty cool.
Okay.
And fighting each other will be very satisfying. I'm gonna lay waste to Caleb Craig. I'm gonna dominate him in yet another game.
Okay. So that's that. Those are the corrections from last episode, and hopefully we don't have to do too many corrections for next episode. I hate it when we have to do those because
I feel like an idiot.
Yeah. And then we get reviews about how we did something wrong.
That's okay. We make you do the reviews in fear, so we'll have the 5 stars.
Well, we gave so much shit to I Brimley for the 4-star review.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a couple pieces of news for our podcasting network.
Yes.
In quotations. We have a new podcast out. And here's the thing. Last week we talked about putting up a vote for bringing back Super Sexy Swingin' Fanfiction.
Correct.
That might have been last week or the week before. Can't remember. And we put out that poll onto our forum, and people responded. There was 1 no and like 7 yeses.
Yeah, something like that.
Who knows who said no to Super Sexy Swingin' Fanfiction? Here's the thing. Super Sexy Swingin' Fanfiction is back, but it is not on this show.
Nope. It is under Ultima Final Fantasy Presents Super Sexy Swingin' Fanfiction, a new podcast that has been accepted by iTunes finally.
Yeah.
It's weird because
we
this one
recorded
took
it
like
a little while ago.
Yeah. This one took like a day, and then that one took like 5 days to get approved. So we were kind of nervous, but some of the other shit.
So what's up? So you guys who miss Super Sexy Swingin' Fanfiction, we're doing a Final Fantasy VI fanfiction right now, and it's awesome.
Yeah, from none other than Kanzen himself.
And we will be recording another episode of that today after we're done with this podcast.
Oh, yes.
So make sure you guys subscribe to that via iTunes and put a rating on there so we can, get boosted up in iTunes for a little while so that people can find it. But yeah, I think that might be it for our podcast news for now. You look like you have something else to say.
Well, we do have the other podcast.
We have another podcast that we recorded, but we haven't had artwork for it, and we haven't submitted it into iTunes yet.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Someone asked us about... That's going to be a question, though, in our question segment.
Okay.
We got a lot of questions in our question segment this week. So, yeah. Let's get on to Last Order, Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
Okay, so as we are in the middle of Final Fantasy VII, figure it's a good time to have a review out for something right now. Would you agree?
100%.
Okay, that's why we're doing this. It's Last Order Final Fantasy VII, which is, of course, a short animated piece that was packaged with Advent Children, the special editions of Advent Children in Japan and here in the States. In 2005 and 2007, respectively. it was just like a short video that was like, you know, the flashback scenes in Final Fantasy VII.
In Nibelheim.
And also some parts of Crisis Core, I guess, are put in there.
Yeah.
It's just those animated. It's not canon, though, unfortunately.
Right. And
So I'm having trouble
so I
here.
mean, it's... I don't know, what do you want to talk about development of it?
I guess Final Fantasy Last Order was scripted by Madhouse and was directed by a guy named Morio Asaka. Madhouse was chosen to create this animated piece based upon their promotional video for the game before Crisis, like the mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, they were selected to do that, and they were going to, you know, do this short little video. Apparently, it was a pain in the butt to make, though, because Tetsuya Nomura had the right to reject and accept everything that they did. And so, apparently, that got in the way of production, and it took 6 months of them, like, working 24/7 to create this 25-minute anime.
Brutal.
So that's basically the history of it. Their whole goal was making Nomura's drawings move on the screen, is the quote I see here. And since it was hand drawn, it was extremely difficult, I guess, to make the short film.
Okay.
If you guys want to check it out, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Did I already say that?
No,
I feel like I already said it. Yeah. So, Caleb, what did you think of Last Order, Final Fantasy VII, the non-canon Final Fantasy VII short film?
I thought it was all right. I mean, it covers stuff that we already know happened. It does change a few things, which we'll get into.
We'll get into in a second.
But I enjoyed the animation. There was only one part that really was like, yeah, it's that one guy's hair. He's one of the Turks. He has what Joe described, a front mullet that's gelled, so it just looks...
It's spiked up in the front.
It looks crazy, right? I don't know. That's one thing that I was just like, God, why? Why do they have to do this?
It's Tetsuya Nomura, dude.
Why?
He has to have the absolute most insane hair on his... God, fucking Seymour.
True.
We talked about Seymour earlier. Antlers, right? And I
Yeah.
was saying, what if he was like walking through the forest during hunting season?
Yeah, he would get killed.
He could kill, his head would be mounted on a wall.
That'd be sweet.
And there'd be some old dude going like, that was the weirdest deer I ever saw.
Yeah. Now we have to create that image. Put it as a JPEG on the forums. So, yeah, other than that, it was fine. I mean, the animation was decent. The translation
That's true. The animation was pretty darn good looking.
Yeah, it was nice.
For a, television, whatever.
Yeah, super quick 25-minute thing.
That they took 6 months on.
Yeah, so what did you think?
Well, things that bugged me about it.
Okay.
Besides that dude's hair.
Yeah.
I felt like some of the emotional sequences were a little short. When Tifa finds her father, I feel like that went way too quickly. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, she just kind of finds him, cries a lot, and then leaves. But it wasn't like a moment that the audience was allowed to connect with Tifa at all.
Yeah, it was
I was bugged by that for some reason. And there's another part where you see Sephiroth. He's going through, and he's in the village, and it's on fire. And there's a wide shot of Sephiroth, and he has 3 shadows. The idea being that there's, of course, fire on 3 sides of him, right? But the problem is, if you have fire on 3 sides, then the shadow that's going towards the other fire would be nullified. So he would have almost no shadow in that moment. That was honestly something I saw, and I was like, what the fuck? So I think the people at Madhouse don't know how light works.
Maybe not. I didn't even notice that.
You didn't notice that?
No, I'm much less anal about film, apparently.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
If you
it was...
look at my Rotten Tomatoes list, it's clear that I'm much less anal about films. So I'm pretty forgiving as far as that goes. But we both of us noticed there were some discrepancies with the Final Fantasy VII story, and they love to do this, so it's not any sort of a new thing.
Right, but it is not canon.
True. So at least this time
this is just an adaptation that Tetsuya Nomura could approve or disapprove of everything.
Right.
He's like J.K. Rowling with the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah. Oh, the Harry
Only
Potter
this
movies.
isn't Harry Potter.
True. And the Harry Potter movies were way good.
I got to tell you, Last Order, it takes place, it's when Zack is taking Cloud and Nibelheim is being destroyed and Sephiroth is going to find Jenova, and it's, Zack tries to stop Sephiroth, and then Cloud sees Tifa outside, and he goes in and stabs Sephiroth, and Sephiroth gets away with Genova's head.
Right.
So it's that sequence, and then it ends with a cliffhanger, I guess, that we all know what happens, so there's no need for a cliffhanger whatsoever, in which, people are aiming at... they're aiming at Cloud in the Last Order movie.
Right.
And Zack gets in the way of it. The Shinra people are, of course, going after them. And then it blacks out.
Right, and it kind of alludes to the fact that Zack gets shot right there, but that doesn't happen in Crisis Core. In Crisis Core, he gets shot a lot, and he's not with Cloud. It's a totally different sequence. So that's one of the inaccuracies that this Last Order thing brings to the table. And, honestly, it's not too big of a deal. But even though it's not too big of a deal, there is a large list of discrepancies on their Wikipedia page.
On the Final Fantasy Wikipedia page? Yeah.
So, let's get into some of those. There's a lot of them.
Do you want to just read these?
I guess.
Okay. Let me try to zoom it in on the screen so that you can see them. Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's fine. So, this is where it begins. In Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII, Zack changes his hairstyle after Angeal's death. The hairstyle is the one he has in the flashbacks in 7 and in Advent Children. Yet in Last Order, Final Fantasy VII, and before Crisis, Final Fantasy VII, his hair retains its original appearance.
Oh, no.
Bullshit! This contradicts the rest of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, as Zack changed his hairstyle before the Nibelheim incident occurred.
Are you suggesting that that's an anal correction that they put on the Final Fantasy wiki page?
It is, and I would have never noticed that. Alright, so this one I did notice. In 7, Tifa's father is found already dead within the Mako reactor. In Last Order, he is found dying outside of the reactor, and in 7, Crisis Core, it doesn't even include that at all.
I gotta tell you, if I were making that decision, I could see why they made that decision, though.
I liked it better in this version.
Because of the flames behind it made the scene a little bit more interesting.
It did.
I feel like it was the environment helped, even though I don't think that scene, I think that scene could have been better. The environment with the flames and everything, it helped that scene.
Right, to have him still alive, and that made it more, gives Tifa a little more depth to her going to kill Sephiroth, because she saw her father die.
Right.
Not just him being dead.
Right.
I can say that.
And being outside of the Mako reactor is what I'm talking about, but...
Right. So, in Last Order, Cloud and Sephiroth have dialogue during their confrontation that was not present in the game.
Dun, dun, dun.
The same is true in Crisis Core. So
Dun, dun, dun.
Crisis Core is okay to change stuff in a way, because they are canon, as we've discussed. Alright, so in 7, when Cloud charges Sephiroth with Zack's Buster Sword, Sephiroth turns in time to be stabbed in his stomach. In Last Order, Sephiroth is unaware of Cloud's presence in Genova's chamber until after he is stabbed through his lower back. He is again stabbed through the back in Crisis Core.
So Crisis Core changed it, too.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually prefer that. I thought it was cool, the dramatic way he was stabbed.
It made a lot more sense.
In this anime.
It made a lot more sense since when you fight with Sephiroth along the way to Nibelheim, once you get onto Mount Nibel and that scene in the game, he's like level 50. So the fact that Cloud was just able to pull himself towards him on his sword blade, although badass, and kill him with one hit, doesn't really make sense. So the sneak attack, I kind of prefer. It makes it logical in a way. Although, it's not supposed to be logical at all. But alright, so anyway. In 7, when Sephiroth attempts to leave with Genova's head, Cloud pursues him onto a catwalk that crosses over the middle of the reactor, a wide shaft leading into the life stream below. Ooh.
Oh, that's hot.
Yeah. Here Sephiroth turns and runs his mass immune through Cloud. After being impaled and held in the air above the life stream, Cloud pulls the blade out and uses it to fling Sephiroth into the life stream. In Last Order, Cloud charges Sephiroth while he stands at the top of the stairs leading to Genova's chamber and is impaled a first time. Sephiroth tosses him into Genova's chamber and impales him upon his blade a second time, holding Cloud above the shaft that leads to the live stream. God, we should just do
just
the whole
make this a
movie at
porno.
point. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm on a different page
Yeah,
than
you are, clearly. So Cloud grabs Sephiroth's sword and throws him into a wall. Sephiroth then jumps into the live stream willingly. What happened in Last Order is also present in Before Crisis. Crisis Core alters the events further, with Cloud charging Sephiroth on the steps and being knocked into the Genova chamber. Sephiroth stabs Cloud, and the events proceed as they did in the original game, other than occurring in Genova's chamber. Anal retentive.
Part of me is like, these changes are not that important.
Yeah, not so far. I mean, maybe the one where Tifa's dad is still alive, that is a kind of a big change, but I preferred it over the original, so
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
There's that. Part of me feels that way, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. Part of me is like, well, who cares? Because they're basically the same story.
It's little details.
And besides, in Final Fantasy VII, it's Cloud remembering the events. And we, of course, know his memory is playful.
It's true.
So it's not that his memory has to be 100% accurate. Even when Tifa is looking into his subconscious, he could have remembered things wrong.
That's true. All
I
right.
feel that's how you could talk your way out of those
That's true.
mistakes.
So in 7, when Zack rushes Sephiroth, he's instantly defeated. In Last Order, he fights with Sephiroth before being defeated, and the battle commences above the shaft. In Crisis Core, the fight is expanded into a 2-part boss battle, and the battle commences below the shaft.
God, I love all the shaft talk, let me tell you.
I'm gonna have to take a break. So in 7, when Cloud moves Tifa to safety after defeating Sephiroth, there is no dialogue. In Last Order, after Cloud stabs Sephiroth and moves Tifa to safely, she regains consciousness and speaks with him. Though this seems like a contradiction, the dialogue in Last Order comes from the true version of Nibelheim incident events revealed during the Cloud subconscious sequence, and is
Probably one of the best
explained-
sequences in Final Fantasy VII.
It's a good one, and is further explained as both Cloud and Tifa recovering lost memories in the live stream in the 10th anniversary Ultimania.
Yep.
No idea what the shit that means.
Oh, you don't know what the 10th anniversary Ultimania is?
No.
Well, in Japan, they released some like behind-the-scenes type stuff of these Final Fantasy games in books.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
you can order them and shit, but they're in Japanese.
No, that's not.
So they'll add to the story, like that whole Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy VII connection.
Yeah.
That comes from the Ultimania book that was released there.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, Schweiss doesn't know anything about these.
In 7, Cloud is present during Sephiroth's attack on Nibelheim and is knocked unconscious. He later recovers and rushes to the Mako reactor after Zack has already gone in. In Last Order, Cloud and Zack discover Nibelheim in flames, and Cloud only goes to the reactor after looking for injured civilians. With Zangan in Crisis Core, Cloud is knocked unconscious as in the original game. So that's one liberty that this one took that Crisis Core did not.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do the next one?
No.
While 7 features the hitchhiking scenario, it jumps ahead to a scene in which Zack is gunned down on a cliff overlooking Midgar by 3 Shinra soldiers by surprise, one of whom fires several shots into his body at near point-blank range. In Crisis Core, Zack was still fighting, barely, the 3 Shinra soldiers, 2 infantrymen and 1 captain, when he got gunned down. In Last Order, while riding in the bed of the pickup, Cloud is being targeted through the scope of a Shinra soldier's rifle. Zack scrambles to protect Cloud, the screen goes blank, and Zack is heard telling Cloud to run, followed by a gunshot and the closing credits, leading to an incorrect inference that he was killed while taking a bullet for Cloud. In Final Fantasy VII Advent Children Complete, the scene is featured as one of Cloud's flashbacks and extended to clarify the sniper missed his mark and they came under fire, resulting in Zack's final confrontation with a legion of Shinra soldiers, as depicted in Crisis Core, which leads to him being killed by the 3, spoiler alert, surviving soldiers as seen in the original game.
Yeah, and there's a couple more of these differences. Those are probably the biggest ones.
Yeah, that one is kind of big because from what I remember when I played Crisis Core, I don't even think Cloud was there. So like them tying it in within the realm of Advent Children, the way they did, like I have no idea how they could even do that because Cloud, it was just Zack as far as I remember. But I mean, we'll play it again, and I'm probably wrong, so dock us a star for it. Do it. But we'll have to see about that one. But I mean, this list does find it as a change. And it's true, the sniper scene, that's not how he died. He got completely blasted.
No, but there was a blackout cut anyway, so
true. It's up for
it's just an
interpretation.
inference.
It's
as,
true.
as it said in the wiki, in the Final Fantasy wiki,
Super anal.
super anal list.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, overall, I felt like it was okay.
Yeah, it was decent.
I certainly felt. You know what I felt they did right? Much better than Advent Children. I felt like they got the tone of Final Fantasy VII down.
Yeah.
Much better.
Advent Children is a little happy for 7.
I don't think it's happy. There's something about, I don't know, it's the design or
The characters don't seem...
the characters or the music or something. There's something missing from the original 7 game. Can't quite put my finger on it, but the tone.
Right. We'll put our finger
tone is
all
better.
over it when we get to it. So, yeah, I would agree with that. I think the tone was a lot closer to the 7 that we know.
Yeah.
So
It didn't feel like Advent Children, came from fucking space.
yeah. They came from outer space.
And of course, we'll be reviewing Final Fantasy Advent Children Complete after we're done with 7.
We will, the week after.
Yeah, you want to do it the week after?
Hell yeah, I do. I want to get that
Alright, man.
Advent Children done.
I was thinking like halfway through 8 so that there would be, a review in between.
Perhaps. We'll see. We'll see.
But, this video is kind of short, so there's not that much to say about it, except that, I kind of recommend it.
Yeah, I'd say
a good video.
Go watch it. If
Yeah.
you don't have it in your collector's edition of Advent Children, you can go on YouTube and check it out.
None of us have a collector's edition of Advent Children.
No, I have like super standard cheap.
Yeah.
I thought Cody did, but I think he.
No,
just
Cody has a Japanese edition. Cody, my other roommate, has a Japanese edition of Advent Children.
I think he might have.
That was imported. And he has Advent Children Complete on Blu-ray.
Okay.
So
we'll be watching.
he's how we're going to watch Advent Children Complete.
Yeah.
Now there's a couple other things as far as announcements on our podcast. Yeah, go check out Advent Children, or not Advent Children.
Last Order.
Last Order. Tell us what you think about it on the forums. I'll add a link to it because I don't think I have done that
I
yet.
don't think so.
Certainly, yeah, go on there. A couple other things for a podcast. We are going to do live feed videos. We had another vote, and that was part of it. So it's going to be behind the scenes kind of YouTube-y stuff. Basically, we're going to try to set up... We'll see if it works. We got to try it without anybody watching first to see if it works. But I think we're going to start a Google Hangout video.
Okay.
And that will be the video part of the YouTube thing. It'll just be like a behind the scenes of our show. So the edited episodes, these edited episodes that you guys are listening to right now, like this one, they're only going to be available through iTunes, Stitcher, the podcast places.
And then YouTube.
And then YouTube will just be a behind the scenes look. It'll be the whole episode. It'll just be really long because all those breaks that we take, you get to see those.
You do. You get to see the bathroom trips from these giant cans of Monster. It's going to be exciting.
Oh yeah, so exciting. But yeah, everybody voted yes on that. Not a single vote no.
Yep. So
for those uncut videos on YouTube. Even when I stipulated that the regular shorter podcast episodes will not be up, they put those there. They voted yes.
That'll be. That could be somewhat easier because it takes forever to transfer the. Although it's going to take even longer to transfer an actual video to YouTube, to format it. And everything.
No, it's not like that. If you do Google Hangout, then it records the video.
Oh, and it'll
upload it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Sweet. Well, thanks for voting yes.
The sound quality is going to suck because it's going to be through a webcam.
True.
And then you'll get to see our faces behind a big mic.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. You'll see the top of our heads.
Yeah, should be fun for you guys. Maybe in the future you'll all be voting no.
We'll see. Yeah.
We will see. Other podcasts do it though. I've seen Two Dudes and an S. Once again, we bring them up a lot because we're in a group with them on Facebook. But they do behind the scenes videos of their episodes. You basically watch the whole thing unedited on YouTube, and then you can, of course, we're doing what they're doing, basically.
Yeah.
So there's that piece of news. The other piece of news is that someone on our forums, the username, I lost it right now. They were talking about different ways to support the show, and one of the ways was an Amazon wish list. Was that correct?
Yes.
I'm not sure if I set it up right, but I did put an Amazon wish list, and I put a bunch of stuff that neither of us owned, that were Final Fantasy games that we'll have to get to in the future.
Okay.
And so you can see that wish list if you go to support the show on our website. Go down to the bottom, and then there's the submit button for PayPal, and then right underneath it goes click here for our Amazon wish list. So if you guys wish to support the show that way instead of a PayPal donation, you can do it that way too.
Right. And also, I don't know if it's on there, but if you guys want to play 14 with me, you guys are going to have to help me out. Because I'm super poor right now. So that's always on the board. And although I didn't get on when Caleb Craig bought it for me, and he was super pissed off about this, I would for you guys.
Yeah, Caleb just got a cut in his pay right now.
Yeah, I transferred.
He got a new job. He wanted a job that was less stress.
Yes. Less 3 a.m.
So that we
waking.
could do the podcast, honestly.
That's a part of it, yes.
Yeah, so, show a little love. Click that PayPal button.
Or the wish list.
I'm
sure there's like a 3-month.
If you guys buy the games for us, we'll buy the systems.
It's true. The DS is going to be probably like, what is it, like 150?
Well, there's a shitload of Crystal Chronicle games on there.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
DS is going to be a good one.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next segment, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, this segment has no jingle to it. I don't know why I keep forgetting to do the jingle, but this is Spot the FF. And we got 2 Spot the FFs this week from our forum. The first one is a Simpsons tribute to Final Fantasy VI, which I think a lot of us have seen online. It's a design by Chamin Design, I think, is what it says here. And it basically has a bunch of Simpsons characters on an airship, and they're like dressed up in Final Fantasy VI garb.
Right, and it's one of the artworks from 6 in the booklet. It's just a reincarnation of it with Simpsons characters. It's awesome if you haven't seen it. Just search FF6 Simpsons.
Right. It's got is that Smithers?
No, that's Burns.
Oh, sorry, Burns. It's
Mr.
been a
Burns
long time
is
since I
Kefka.
watched The Simpsons. Mr. Burns is Kefka. You're going to have to help me out with these characters. Lisa?
Yeah, Lisa.
Lisa is Terra. Marge is that Go-Go?
It is Go-Go.
Marge is Go-Go. Homer is Bart's on a chocobo.
It's not Bart's.
Or not Bart's, God. Locke.
Locke, yes.
Locke on a chocobo. My apologies. And Maggie is the Mog.
It's pretty sweet.
And Bart is Shadow. Along with, of course, the Simpsons dog, too.
Right.
Which is pretty awesome.
Interceptor!
So if you guys want to check that out, this is on Behance.net. But I'm sure if you just put Simpsons Final Fantasy, you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
It's pretty cool. Our second Spot the FF is really impressive, actually. In this I think it's a Dungeons and Dragons magazine. Yes. Yeah, it's called Dragon Magazine, issue number 323 from September of 2004. They actually added Final Fantasy stuff that you could do in Dungeons and Dragons. Neither of us played Dungeons and Dragons, right?
No.
So we're a little, we're not experts on this, but I guess you can summon them or something in the game.
Yeah, you can have.
And so you can have chocobos in Dungeons and Dragons.
Right, and of course in D&D you move around in dungeons, so I would imagine if you have the chocobo, it increase? Yeah, it increases your speed and your die roll like at ×2 or something. It's kind of cool.
They call it Riding Bird. And yeah, it's pretty cool. If you guys want to check this out, because I don't really have anything else to say about it because I don't play D&D.
Yeah.
If you guys want to check this out, I did, after someone posted, Gammon Shark posted this on our forum. It says Chocobos and AD&D. I found the magazine online in a PDF, and I put the link on it forum. So if you guys want to check that out, if you guys are D&D fans or players, and you want to use chocobos, I guess I don't know how the game works, but you can look at the link and you can find the official magazine with chocobos in it.
Yeah, and their official stats.
Right. So yeah, that's it for Spot the FF. Let's move on to our next segment.
Did you know? Did you know? Did you know, my friend? All this cool shit. Sick origins of Final Fantasy. And other stuff you might not have known. But maybe you know, but that's okay. We're still gonna do a segment called Did You Know?
This week's Did You Know comes from Branny on our forum. And I feel like we might have mentioned this before, but this is kind of a cool little fact here. And of course, we're going to go deeper into it when we talk about the development of Final Fantasy VIII, when we get to that. Or Final Fantasy VII, excuse me, when we get to that. And 8, because they're both connected here. Edea, the sorceress Edea from Final Fantasy VIII, he says, was actually designed originally for Final Fantasy VII. This is true. She was created by Tetsuya Nomura while trying to emulate the style of Yoshitaka Amano, but couldn't work her into the story. And of course, he found a place for her in Final Fantasy VIII, and that's interesting.
Do you think he emulated the style of Amano?
From Edea?
Maybe more so.
I don't see it, but I'm not a design expert.
I don't see it really either. But okay.
Yeah, cool.
That's interesting, and I think we did mention that before. But that's
yeah,
okay.
we have mentioned that, and we certainly will. I think Edea was like part of the story, couldn't fit it in, and then they thought of it as part of the story for 8. Of course, Edea is a huge part of Final Fantasy VIII, especially in the first disc.
Right.
And we'll get to that when we get to Final Fantasy VIII. But that was a short little Did You Know? If you guys want to add your own little Did You Knows, put them onto our forum. Yeah. And now we finally have the question segment coming up. Caleb,
Yes.
Are you ready? This is going to be a big question segment, so
I'm
get ready
ready
for this.
So the first question in our beloved question segment is from Womble619, excuse me, on our forums.
White Mage.
White Mage, yep. Gotta level up. He says, yes, I am that guy who is desperate for an FF7 remake. I think it is without a doubt the best FF game and IMO the best game ever made. SRS. I would like to see...
I think that means serious.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm having trouble, dude. Like, the fucking abbreviations for everything online, I can't catch up to some of them.
Yeah.
What the hell is IMO?
I don't know, actually. But he
Womble
says...
619. What
Yeah.
is IMO?
Yeah.
I just want to know. I don't want to be...
This is our question segment to you. He says he would love to see a remake made, and he cannot believe with so many fans screaming for it that it has not been done. I want to get Caleb and Joe's opinion on FF7 Remake, which we've given, and why other game companies are happy to bleed a popular franchise like Spyro or Zelda or Crash Bandicoot to death, but Square won't capitalize on further success with how popular FF7 was. Yes, I know they did Crisis Core, and that did extremely well, so why don't they do more? I also can't understand how Square will create 3 sequels to the FF13 saga.
Two sequels.
Yeah, it's only 2. But they won't remake FF7 or release a carry-on game. Can I just point out that Sephiroth is still alive?
I'm not sure about that.
There is still so much space for a new story, and it would make so much money. Anyway, it would be great to hear your guys' views on it. Peace.
We've talked about this before.
We have mentioned it.
I think if you look up the episode Final Fantasy Remakes and Remasters, I think we put out our opinion on it.
Yes. Well, we'll do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again for the question segment. I think that Final Fantasy VII is fine the way it is. And certainly an updated HD version of it with like new character models modeled after the old art.
Okay.
No voice acting, though. Just everything kind of, brought up to, good graphics. I think that is the remake I would like.
Okay.
If they were to do a remake.
Yeah,
but because that kind of remake is kind of, there's no real reason for it.
You don't think they'll ever do it?
I don't think they'll ever do it like that.
I think if they were to do it, they would do it in a way that would make me very angry. I think they would turn it into Advent Children.
Yeah.
And I would not be happy with
I
that.
think the tone will be like Advent Children.
And the tone of 7 is not like Advent Children. The game came out in the 90s. It looks 90s-y. It should stay 90s-y. Now, I would be okay with an HD remaster and possibly voice acting if they did it right. And the voice acting in Advent Children's okay. The only one I really don't like is Red 13's voice.
Kate
It's
Sith,
ridiculous.
dude.
He's Scottish. It's fine.
Oh, God.
Dude, that's true. He's already annoying in the game.
Dude, Red 13's makes me laugh so hard.
Yeah, he's got a pro voice, but
The children also have the stigma.
he's like a wizened old man.
I'm not sure if that's a real British accent or like a fake one because I'm not British, so I can't tell. But it sounds retarded.
It sounds pretty bad. So, yeah, with an FF7 remake,
Children have the stigma.
yeah, I would prefer an HD remaster, and I would probably shy away from
Certainly.
the voice.
Look, it'll probably happen someday.
I'm sure it will.
The remake of Final Fantasy VII. Who knows when?
They have stated that they will remake it when another game surpasses it. in
Right.
excellence.
That's what their whole stipulation was. Is that go buy the next Final Fantasy game, and then if it sells more than 10 million copies, which is how much 7 sold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they'll remake 7, which is an interesting way of getting people to buy more copies of the newer games.
Yeah, I think 15's going to do awesome, but I don't know.
I'm
if
sure
it's
it'll
gonna
do
sell that
awesome,
many.
and 13 did very well. It did 6 million copies or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty sick amount, and 10 did like 8 million copies.
right.
So they're both huge games.
Yeah, and Dirge of Cerberus is a continuation of 7's story.
Mm-hmm.
It's after Advent Children.
Right.
So in a way, they already have, and that's kind of problematic because then they change stuff. And
I think they're bleeding it just fine.
I think they are. They're bleeding it to death almost as it is. I know that it would make a lot of money, but I think a lot of the hardcore fans would not be very happy with it unless they did a very good
a
job.
lot of them, unless they did a very good job.
It's an extremely touchy game to go back and mess with, and I think that's why they haven't.
I
and
agree.
It's not really that old. I mean, it looks ridiculous graphically nowadays, but you can still play the thing just fine.
Right.
So, and your Steam version looks better because it doesn't have the.
It doesn't have
lines.
the scan lines, but then without the scan lines, you do see how the models look like Lego pieces.
Yeah, more.
And
so.
more.
But it's smoother. The battle sequences are they look very good
Yes.
in the Steam version. So, you know,
I just want to play it on the PS3, but still.
yeah,
That's because of, my ass, not really my eyes.
right.
FF7 remake, it's kind of like the FF4 remake. They would have to, add everything would be a cutscene instead, and there would be voice acting on important stuff, and I'm not really sure if I would go for that, just because I like the game as it is.
And the influence nowadays would be very strong on the game.
Right.
It would be hard not to change it to nowadays, to modern Japan.
But if they were to remaster it like the Final Fantasy IV complete versions on the PSP,
Yeah.
where it was like everything was just a beautiful. It was the same exact game, except that it was just, it was very beautiful. That's what I want.
Okay.
That's the kind of remake I want, personally.
Or if they did go with the...
Womble619, I believe he feels differently about this, but
Maybe. I would even be okay with Advent Children artwork if they didn't do voicing. If they changed it to that high def, but the game was the exact same, just those.
I'm
models.
really scared of voice acting.
I am too.
That's what I'm scared
It's
of.
something that can go very wrong.
Yes.
All right, so we got a few others.
Yeah, we got our next question comes from the forum. This is just towards our podcast, I guess. This is from Gammon Shark, who's a black mage.
And Stark.
Gammon Stark. I'm sorry. he was asking about, because we brought up maybe like 2 months ago that we were going to do a book club podcast, right?
Yeah.
We're still planning on it, basically. He asked, did this launch yet? I don't know if I missed an announcement or if I'm blind to a link, but Google gave me no love on a search for it. Don't search for it yet, because it's not there. We do have a new podcast, of course, Super Sexy Swinging Fan Fiction, which we announced earlier in the episode. But the book club podcast has not happened yet, simply because things have just gotten in the way.
Scheduling.
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
It's really difficult to get all three, me, Caleb, and Caleb in the same room for a long enough period of time that we can have a poker game and talk about Shogun, which was our first book.
Yeah, it's a very long book, so...
It is a very long book, and Caleb Schweiss decided to take his sweet-ass time with it.
Well, we haven't been able to do the podcast anyway, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody
has
can't
work.
get Tuesday and Saturday night off. Ever.
I asked my boss last night, I said, look, I cannot do Saturday night anymore. And he's like, well, no, wait. That's what I've said before. What I did last night, I was like, okay, I need either Tuesday, Saturdays, or Sunday off. And he's like, it'll probably be Saturday, but
Nice.
it'll be next week. So next week I know I don't close, but hopefully the Saturday after that I have off. But with your work schedule changing, I usually have Thursday nights off, and I always have Monday and Wednesday nights off, so
We'll see how it works.
we can try that. We only need 1 day a month to do a book club podcast.
Right, and I have no idea what my schedule's going to be, so this all
Right,
could
so,
be completely
you
irrelevant.
know, this is still, like, we're all figuring it out, except you won't be working on Sunday, I'm assuming.
I probably will.
Oh, you will? So we're going to have to change the schedule of this podcast.
Maybe. If I'm working early, it'll be about the same.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. We'll let you know.
Really? You'll be working on... I didn't know your company was open on Sunday.
I'll be merchandising.
Okay.
That's what we
So
do on the days off.
you do that anyway, even when most of the grocery stores around here are closed.
No, not most. Only
Okay.
some.
Only some?
Mm-hmm. Costco's open.
Okay, when I lived in Springville, everything was closed.
Well, Springville's a little different. Up here where there's people...
Except you could sell beer on Sunday in Springville.
That's true. Orem took forever to get on board with that.
Provo was even longer.
I don't think so. Orem just...
No,
barely.
Provo was longer. I remember the gas station that I lived next to in Provo. Because now I'm living in Orem. The gas station in Provo had finally, like, when the law came up... Sorry, guys, this is a bit off track. When the law came off, there was a sign at the gas station that said, like, now able to sell beer on Sunday. And that was,
Nice.
like, 2 years ago.
But that's technically Orem, right where you lived.
No, that's right on the border. It's Provo, dude. We'll look this up. I'm going to be right.
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
I know I'm going to be right.
This isn't part of the podcast.
Okay. All right. What's our next question? This is also from Game and Stark, isn't it?
Yeah, he said he might be taking the questions thread too literal here, and he promises to one day ask a question about Final Fantasy. But does anyone think that Caleb Schweiss, me, sounds like Greg Proops? He means it with lots of love, which scares me. I am sure he does not sound like him in real life, but the way his voice sounds over the air can deceptively sync up with that of Proops's. Oh damn, apostrophe fight. And on the apostrophe fight front... Apostrophe fight front, as a mouthful. It's really just a preference, so you're right. Either way. We'll handle that. And I did look up some Greg Proops. I don't know if I sound like
His
him to me.
Caleb's accent is totally different.
You think so?
Maybe your tone of voice is similar, but your accent, Greg Proops' accent is different.
It's true.
The way he speaks is very much different from yours.
I could see the sound, being similar, but it's...
Yeah, that's it.
So, yeah.
Other than that, we don't really have an opinion.
Yep.
If you guys want to look up Greg's Proops and listen to Caleb and then compare them, you, of course, can add to the forum
Yeah, go for
on
it.
that.
It's a good thread.
All right, so this is the question that was asked both in the review of our podcast and here on the forum. This is from I've Got 5 Years, who's a white mage on our forum.
I'm sorry if you die before you rank up in our forum. I don't know what I've Got 5 Years means, but I know I see that, and then I
You
see...
can do more than 10 posts in 5 years.
And then I see his picture. He's a bald guy. I'm feeling cancer might be it.
Oh, don't say that.
I'm just curious. I don't know. That's a sweet name, though. I've Got 5 Years.
That's too bad.
Hopefully he's got longer.
Yeah.
All right, what does he ask?
By the way, if you want to level up from White Mage, you got to put at least 10 posts up, and you can level up to Warrior. I have made the forums so that there's a level up system. Basically, the amount of posts double each time up until a certain point. And
yeah, that's pretty fun.
yeah, it's cool. So we've got a couple people that are samurais with Guild Toss that are on their way to the next level. And you'll see what that is when you get there. I think you got to put like 100 and something posts to get to the next level after Samurai with Guild Toss.
That's a lot.
Yeah. He says, hey, I just wanted to get a sense of what other JRPG series / games that you two enjoy playing. Have you ever thought about adding other Japanese RPGs similar to Final Fantasy to your podcast? It seems like a good way to extend the review aspect of the series once you play through all of the games. There's a shitload of games. Personally, I'm a big fan of
Suikoden.
Oh, this game series that I've never heard of again. I'm sorry. And feel like there'll be great stories for you to cover if you wanted to branch out. And then, of course, some other people put their other favorite RPGs and JRPGs.
Right.
On the forum. We've talked about this. Not on the show, but between you and I.
Yep.
And in other parts of the forums, I did explain the order in which things were going to be done. As far as our playthroughs and reviews will be for this podcast. The plan for this podcast. So let me go over it one more time. We are playing through the main series of Final Fantasy first.
Correct.
There's no change in that. So we're going to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We might do the main quest of 11, or we might do Final Fantasy X-2 after 10. That's the first thing that people are going to vote on. And then we'll do 13. And then we'll either do the sequel to 13, 13-2, or we'll do 14 after 13. People will vote on that too. If people have no interest in hearing about the MMOs, which, by the way, we don't plan on spending as much time on as other people do on MMOs, so it's not like it's going to be like any bigger of a gap between, Final Fantasy XII's playtime and Final Fantasy XI's playtime should be about the same, based upon how long the games are.
Right, and part of me doesn't want to do the MMOs just because we're going to want to enjoy it, and if we just burst through the main story, we're going to miss so much, and it's like...
You're going to miss a lot, but I feel like we're reviewing the Final Fantasy games, and as the games are big story-heavy games, for us to play the MMOs, we just need to play through the main story and have a review on that, not necessarily on the entire world of the MMO.
Right, I think 14
Which there's plenty of other podcasts talking about that kind of
Right,
stuff.
I think 14 should be the last stop, though, part of me does. Like, that should be what we do until another one comes out. But that's what all the other podcasts do, so it's like... I don't want to do that.
Oh, you mean like play through all the other games?
And then go to 14.
And then go to 14? That's an idea, but we're going to have people vote on whether or not we go from 13 to 13-2 or 13 to 14.
Right, and then as we've stated also, when 15 comes out, we're playing
And if
15.
we go to 13-2, we're going to 13-3 right afterwards, too.
Yeah, just get
And
it
as
all
soon
out.
as 15 comes out, if we are done through those first 14 games, we will play Final Fantasy 15 right after.
Or if we're done from the main series ones. We don't have to be done with 11 or 14. Because I'm playing that shit when it comes out. I'm not playing 11.
Okay,
I'm not playing 11 before I'm playing 15.
If we get to 15, if 15 comes out before we're to 11,
Yeah. I don't know if it will.
I don't think
though.
that's going to be the case.
No, we're going to get through faster than that. That's a
8's
long
going
time.
to I think I'm going to get through 8 in a week.
Yeah, you say that.
I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to have a live 24-hour playthrough of Final Fantasy 8.
Nice.
I'm just going to destroy it. I'm going to destroy that fucking game. I'm so excited to just beat it so quickly. I could beat 7 quickly too, but I'm having troubles right now. So that's the order of the main series. After that, we're going to go to the spin-off games. Final Fantasy games that are not part of the main series or are sequels that came out way later in the order that they were released.
Right.
So I think the first one is going to be like, it's either Final Fantasy Adventure or Final Fantasy Legend. It's the Game Boy one, whichever one that is. That'll be the first one, and then we'll move up from there.
Right.
There are a shitload of spin-off games.
There are a lot.
So it will take us a long time to get through that stuff. So this is a long haul kind of series. Now, if we ever come to the day when we have no more spin-off games to play and no more main series Final Fantasy games, and let's say we're waiting 8 months for the next Final Fantasy to come out, we're looking at how many years down the road before this happens?
At least a couple.
Like 2,
Yeah,
3
at
maybe?
least.
If that ever happens, sure, we'll move on to another series.
Right.
And that series will probably be somewhat connected to Final Fantasy, like Chrono Trigger we talked about doing.
Oh, yeah.
Or Chrono Cross, or maybe the Dragon Warrior games, or you know what? Ultima is in our title. It's Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy podcast, but it might just become Ultima and Final Fantasy.
True.
So we might play through the Ultima games. Who knows? We haven't gotten there yet. We have considered it.
Right. I mean, and Joe stated many times before that he's not really a gamer, so to speak. But I do think that you would like RPGs. Obviously, you
I've
like
played
Final
Diablo.
Fantasy. It's like
That's-
a dungeon crawler.
That's a big RPG. Screw you.
It's not the same though. It's different. I think you would like stuff like Legend of Dragoon, the Parasite Eve games. I think you'd enjoy those. And when we get to a point where that's even considerable, I'm sure we'll probably play some. But that's a long time from
And
now.
we'll be playing Kingdom Hearts also.
Right, and that's not really a part of Final Fantasy. I mean, in a way it is, especially with 2, with all the characters, but I'm not sure if the first one has a bunch of...
First one has a bunch of them.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I've never played them, but I've just seen scenes.
You can fight Sephiroth in the first one also.
Oh, sweet. So yeah, we'll hit those up at some point, I'm sure. But it's
Yeah,
a long
if
time.
the podcast changes to that point, we're gonna start a new podcast feed. That's how I feel.
You think so, and just do Final Fantasy when the Final Fantasy game comes out and we play it.
Yeah, it'd just be an RPG or a video game podcast, which we've talked about doing a just video game podcast. We did a demo, but things just didn't work out, so that's still in consideration too,
Yeah,
as far as other podcasts go. We also have a weight loss podcast that we're working on right now,
it's true.
but we need artwork for it.
Artwork and a song, probably.
Yeah, we need a song. Tried to come up with a song, and it was really rough the other day.
So we'll let you guys know when these
That
other
comes out.
podcasts
Yeah,
come.
we'll let you know. We're not gonna go unannounced as far as our other podcasts,
Except for Super Sexy, we released without announcing, and it was out for. It's been out for like 4 or 5 days now.
Yeah.
We just forgot to say stuff last week.
We forgot to say stuff last week because it wasn't accepted into iTunes.
Not yet, yeah.
So we didn't forget. We forgot to announce that it was coming.
Although we did get a decent amount of downloads from people.
CUM.
Yeah, we did get some people from the site checking it out, so that was nice.
Yeah. So yeah, go subscribe to that. Give it a 5-star rating because it deserves it. That first episode is a killer.
It is, and the intro is beautiful.
Oh my
okay?
god! I had this girl that I have a crush on come over, and she did like sexy voice for the intro and the outro, and it was pretty sweet. And also our sexy voices.
Of course.
Yes, and then I got a wah wah pedal for my guitar, so I was able to do like the 70s like that kind of feel. It was
Joe has
sweet.
found a love for 70s porno music. His creation of 70s porno.
Right.
The wah wah pedal is beautiful.
It is, isn't it?
It's awesome.
Plus now I can sound like Kirk Hammett when I solo.
Yeah, you can.
He's the guitar player for Metallica. All right, we got one more question, right, from Green Mushroom, who was nice enough to give us a question every week.
It's nice. Thank you.
Yes.
Once again, Mr. Void.
And go to agreenmushroom.com.
Yep, he's also playing through the series. And I thought it was a much faster rate, but then I looked at Final Fantasy III, and it did take him a long time to play that game.
Okay.
Which is surprising because the first one to me
I was like, how the fuck is he getting through these so
was like
quickly?
bamboo splints under my fingers for a lot of it. So anyway, his question is, finishing FF10 has inspired his question of the week. What is your favorite Final Fantasy ending? Mine is 9, followed closely by 10. That's Void speaking.
Yes.
So what is your favorite Final Fantasy ending?
My personal favorite Final Fantasy ending?
Mm-hmm.
He just said Final Fantasy X. And I'm going to go ahead and say that one's my favorite Final Fantasy ending. I think someone brought this up in the forums once again in the introductions folder, and they talked about crying through the ending of Final Fantasy X.
Right.
And you know what? I cried my ass off through the ending of Final Fantasy X when Titus was spoiler alert. When Titus was fading away, And Yuna couldn't touch him anymore, and then she fell, and then Titus was gone, and then the ending from that, I cried.
I did not. I was glad that Titus was gone.
Fuck.
I did feel for Yuna, though, because I really do enjoy Yuna, but Titus was super annoying for me. So I was like, yes! Yes! Oh, he's gone!
You're a heartless bastard.
And then 10-2, I'm like, what? He's back? Fuck! No, I didn't necessarily cry, but I thought it was a very good ending for Final Fantasy X. So you would say 10?
As far as endings go, yes, 10. 10 was a powerful, powerful ending. That scene where the fading away shot is just gorgeous, and like, you know, she says, "I love you," or I guess it's "skides" in Japanese, and then he just, you know, jumps off, and because he has to leave.
He does, because he never was there. But we'll get to that. I think
I love that ending. Even Final Fantasy VI's like really long ending, I feel like it's less powerful than 10's ending.
You think so?
No. 6's ending is great too, though.
I'm gonna have to go with 6's.
You're gonna go with 6's.
Yeah, I haven't played 10 in a long time, so I'm not exactly sure how it ranks up now. But for right now, I really liked 6's ending.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I felt that there was a decent amount of power behind it, and
Everything wrapped up.
They did their world tour that they always do in the earlier games, where they go fly around in the airship, and it's like, oh, this place is doing great, we're doing this, and then this place is awesome too, everything's fucking killer now that the guy's dead. You know, I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the power of the Kefka battle. Like, that was intense. Sure, I kicked his ass, like, I just destroyed that clown, but it was the music was phenomenal. The 3-tier, 4-tier fight was beautiful, and it
was really powerful stuff.
Yeah, mostly that's the part that I like the most about 6's ending. Not necessarily the world tour where they go visit everybody. The Kefka battle is what I consider the awesomeness of that game's ending. And I think the music that went along with Kefka's
I like
fight.
Terra saving the whole party at the end with the by herself kind of thing.
Yeah,
I
that
thought
was
that
cool,
was cool
too.
and heroic, and
Finally a super strong female lead.
damn, that is a very good ending. I'm still gonna go with 10 though.
All right.
I gotta tell you, how about our least favorite endings
Least favorite
that
ending?
you've played through so far? I actually thought 12's ending was pretty good. 12's ending is probably all I can remember from that game.
Yeah.
4's ending with the wedding scene, I thought was not that great.
The wedding scene, and of course I beat this into the ground. The praying scene came out of nowhere for our version. It was just awkward. And the wedding scene was crappy. It's like...
Yeah, it kind of wraps up the thing. When I first played
guess.
through the game, I liked the scene, so I'm not gonna like bash on people who like that scene. But wedding scene, whatever. In Final Fantasy IV,
What about 3's?
3's ending with the world tour.
With the Zandy getting his ass kicked.
Oh, you're including the final bosses. I'm thinking just the video at the end.
Yeah, I include the final boss, because that is the ending. That's what I played.
Yeah, I guess 3's ending was better than the rest of the game.
Yeah. The final area in 3 is awesome. I loved it.
I liked it the first time.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Not the other 4 times I fucking had to walk through that thing.
Nice.
Oh, fuck that, dude.
And then 1's ending was kind of cool. I mean, they pieced together somewhat of a story for it. They're like, oh, yeah, you messed with the time, and you fixed it. So that was cool.
I like 13's ending.
Haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it, so I'm not going to say anything. And you know what? I love parts of Final Fantasy VIII's ending. And there is one specific part of Final Fantasy VIII's ending that I hate, and that is the fucking song that plays.
Yep. That sums up my feeling on 8 thus far.
With you. Have you guys looked up the lyrics to that song? They're nonsensical. It's
true.
in English. It's so horrible.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
But like the parts where like his mind is going in like squalls, like his world is all getting messed up. Those parts are cool.
Right.
In Final Fantasy VIII's ending. And didn't he ask about openings too? Like what?
Yeah, it says, what's our favorite Final Fantasy beginning and why?
Go ahead and answer that question.
Damn.
What beginning stands out to you?
Well, honestly, 12's is pretty intense. Like the first 20 minutes, the king is killed, and
Oh, the giant war scene. That
Yeah.
that cutscene is like 20 minutes long. Yeah.
it's pretty good. And I also enjoy 7's intro. I think it kind of jumps into the action pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much of a lead up. You're just
With the train
instantly-
scene, yeah.
just you know. And then you find the potions and the unconscious guy next to you, and it's a good intro too.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Do you have one that's a particular favorite, or is it 12's? I thought 13 had a good opening too.
yeah, it did.
Yeah, with the train. Once again, another train sequence, but
love trains.
it's on the inside of the
Their
train this time.
public transportation is amazing, so
Yeah.
they love to flaunt that at our Western transportation systems.
11's was interesting for those of you who have seen 11's opening,
Okay.
and 14's where you're just riding along in the cart.
Meh.
Eh.
Got to start somewhere.
I
So,
guess.
what do you think? Do you think 13?
I think 13. No, I was saying 13 is a cool opening, but if there's gonna be one opening that stands the fuck out of the rest of the series, it's Final Fantasy VIII's opening. Even with the air quotes of "I'll be waiting here," I feel like Final Fantasy VIII's opening with the soundtrack and the way that it's almost like a trailer for the rest of the game, but it's fucking sweet. I love Final Fantasy VIII's opening.
Final Fantasy VIII's opening is really good.
Yeah, and it you know, it's like a '70s movie where it previews what's gonna happen the rest of the movie with the opening sequences. I thought it was sweet.
Okay.
So is your vote for Final Fantasy 12 or 7 or
I'd probably go with 7.
7?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it goes straight into the action.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's refreshing. I mean, it's not like in the other one.
So yeah, I like the
Slow.
theatricality of 8. Although of course they all kind of have good openings,
Yeah, they do.
except for 1 where you're just there.
Right.
2 is interesting. God, Final Fantasy, if they do anything well, it's probably openings
Yeah.
that they're best at. So they get you wrapped up in the game pretty quickly.
It's true.
Yeah. So is that it for our questions?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well that's going to be it for our holy crap, this is kind of a long episode. That's going to be it for our episode today, guys. Tune in next week.
Yeah. Check out that thing that we reviewed.
Yeah. We're going to figure out how to do video and shit next week.
Yeah, we'll keep you guys posted on
And
that.
yeah, we'll let you know and see ya.
We'll see ya. Enjoy the grind.
This has been another production of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. The show was produced by Joseph DeGollier and Caleb Schweiss, with music and editing by Joseph DeGollier, parodies and clips from their respective authors, of course. You can get all of our episodes as well as our Let's Plays at ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can also contact us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, as well as our contact page on our website. Be sure to subscribe and review our podcast. Your reviews may get read on the show, and look forward to the next episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast.